List of countries by GDP nominal per capita. The figures presented here do not take into account differences in the cost of living in different countries, and the results vary greatly from one year to another based on fluctuations in the exchange rates of the country's currency. Such fluctuations change a country's ranking from one year to the next, even though they often make little or no difference to the standard of living of its population. Therefore, these figures should be used with caution. GDP per capita is often considered an indicator of a country's standard of living. However, this is problematic because GDP per capita is not a measure of personal income. Comparisons of national income are also frequently made on the basis of purchasing power parity (PPP) to adjust for differences in the cost of living in different countries. See list of countries by GDP PPP per capita. PPP largely removes the exchange rate problem, but not others. It does not reflect the value of economic output in international trade, and it also requires more estimation than GDP per capita. On the whole, PPP per capita figures are more narrowly spread than nominal GDP per capita figures. Non-sovereign entities, the world continents, and some dependent territories and states with limited international recognition such as Kosovo, Palestine, and Taiwan are included in the list in cases in which they appear in the sources. These economies are not ranked in the charts here, but are listed in sequence by GDP for comparison. In addition, non-sovereign entities are marked in italics. Note that several leading GDP per capita nominal jurisdictions may be considered tax havens and their GDP data subject to material distortion by the tax planning activities. All data are in current United States dollars. Historical data can be found here. Table. The table is initially ranked by the average of the available estimates for each country or territory and can be re-ranked by either of the sources. Distorted GDP per capita for tax havens. Many of leading GDP per capita nominal jurisdictions are tax havens whose economic data is artificially inflated by tax-driven corporate accounting entries. For instance, the Irish GDP data above is subject to material distortion by the tax planning activities of foreign multinationals in Ireland. To address this, in 2017, the Central Bank of Ireland created modified GNI or GNI asterisk as a more appropriate statistic, and the OECD and IMF have adopted it for Ireland. 2015 Irish GDP is 143% of 2015 Irish GNI asterisk. A stunning $12 trillion, almost 40% of all foreign direct investment positions globally is completely artificial. It consists of financial investment passing through empty corporate shells with no real activity. These investments in empty corporate shells almost always pass through well-known tax havens. The 8 major pass-through economies, the Netherlands, Luxembourg, Hong Kong SAR, the British Virgin Islands, Bermuda, the Cayman Islands, Ireland, and Singapore host more than 85% of the world's investment in special-purpose entities, which are often set up for tax reasons. Further discussion on this topic can be found in the list of countries by GDP PPP per capita article.